Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Jamie Harrison, who is co-owner of Elevate. Owner?
Yeah, boss, CEO,
top man,
founder,
top dog.
Everyone comes to me with a problem, so
I deal with the issues, therefore I'm the boss.
Yeah.
Talk us through, so for people who don't know Elevate, talk us through kind of what you guys do, what's your bread and butter?
So what we do is we build kind of apps for fitness influencers, trainers, but then we not only build the app, we kind of decide on the direction of the business. Are they going to be a predominantly high ticket business? Are they going to run a low ticket business? Is it a combination of both? And then we become like the strategy team, ads team, email marketing team, sales team, and fulfillment team, because we have a load of coaches. So it's a pretty much a done for you, or at least done with you business, you know?
So it's almost like a business in a box of people who already have an audience.
Pretty much, yeah. I think some of the best conversations that we have is when we speak to someone who's got 1 million followers, let's say, really good engagement, but they don't really have an offer. Do you know what I mean? Or their offer's just old hat and they're still doing click and buy PDFs for $10. You know, do you know what I mean?
And sponsorship based, usually those kind of guys, aren't they?
Yeah, that's where I guess a lot of these people go, because it's easy money. And I would have done the same. Like Lewis used to do exactly the same. But then, I think when you open their eyes to what can be made if they do it right, it's so that's what we do.
How did you get into that? I mean, I know how you got into that, but
well, I was teaching like you, and Lewis and Owen had their, like, they've got, if people don't know, like Lewis and Owen, my brothers, Harrison twins, they've got like, one's got 800K, one's got 1.1 million. So they had this big following, and they were doing just sponsors at the time, mate. And we did have like low ticket subscription in place, which was going pretty well, but they just weren't marketing it properly. Yeah. And I was just like, there's a lot of money to be made quite quickly. So I just looked around online, kind of saw some ideas on drive leads, take sales calls, and put something together. Literally drove leads, type form to Calendly, you know, that kind of thing, a Zoom call.
Yeah, proper like bare basics.
Yeah,
stuff.
Bare basics. But I remember we wrote the post for Owen. Owen put it out. It was like 146 leads from one post, 96 book calls. And we'd never done a sales call in our life, right? So it's like, and then like that post itself made us about 45, 50 grand within 10 days. Yeah. So I was like, something in this.
Got legs here.
Yeah, we've got legs. So we duplicated it out for Lewis. And then it was like, it literally, mate, it was like zero to about 100K in 5 or 6 weeks. So
That's
it was
disgusting.
Like, yeah. And then Joss was doing low ticket subscription at the time. Then Joss was like, what's going on here, boys? Owen was like, you want to get on this, mate? And Joss was like, nah, no one's ever, you know, when you've not done high ticket.
Do you feel like some evil little puppet master behind it? Or
Yeah, I just
sat
thought.
there just rubbing your hands.
It was weird, mate. I was just like, what have we hit here?
Yeah.
You know, but this is like, Joss came on and he was like, no, you know, when you've never done high ticket before and you're like, no one's going to pay that.
Oh yeah, but that's you get all the time.
Yeah,
isn't it?
so we were like, it's 1,600 per person. He was like, no one's paying that. And they came in, he watched me and Owen do a call or something. We did a call, closed it, set Joss up in about 24 hours. Then he did like 98 grand in a month. So it was like, mate, within 2 months it had gone to like $250,000. So it was like I said, I think it was the easy, like we were like novices at sales, mate. Never had any sales training.
But that's the thing, innit, with high ticket. Like, I think like people think it's like high ticket is this big shiny thing. Like, oh, you've got to be this to do high ticket. It's the actual probably easiest route from A to B if you don't have a load of systems and tech and shit set up.
I think so.
You need a phone and a laptop.
Yeah, it's almost like get on the phone and semi-wing it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's enough stuff. Like, you'll have stuff on your page about sales. I've got stuff on my page. There's stuff on YouTube. Jeremy Miner's a great one to watch. And like, you could learn little bits about sales and just get in and do it. And I mean, we did it all off Google Drive.
I know.
And one of the first things I did was got my mate to do the programming. Because I just thought, what's the point of me sitting here programming?
Were you still teaching at the teaching at the time when you did that?
I was teaching. Mate, it was mental. We're doing like.
How did it feel like? So, like collectively, you've probably just made about 150, 200 grand in a month, and you're like rocking up back to school.
It was COVID at the time.
Was it? Was this in COVID?
It was mental, right? So it was like early 20. Was it 20? It's not even been that long, mate. It was like 2021. Like it
Fucking
was
hell.
quick. It was like
It's
2021,
rapid, yeah.
and the students were still off for COVID. So me and he don't work there anymore, so it's fine. He's full time. So we used to go to the fucking classroom, bro, and this classroom on the 5th floor. No one was around. I was like, fucking Owen posted last night. Get on the leads. So I'd get on the leads, and he'd be on his laptop there just doing some programming for some clients we'd signed, and I'd be like booking calls for that night. And then Owen would like rock up to some of the calls. I think he was in fucking Bali at the time. You know, it was just like a fucking shit show, mate. And we were just doing it with everything via Google Drive. And
It's almost comedic, like when you talk like just how
it's weird.
Yeah.
I remember like one of the first times I was like, I need to get out of this. I was like, I called my missus. I was like, babe, I've banked like 60 grand myself in the past month. Like, what am I doing here? She went, don't know.
It's my yearly wage.
yeah, gotta go. So it was a weird time, but it was mint, mate. It never, because there's no like, didn't really have any staff at the time, so the cost was next to nothing. So it was one of them where it's like, it was a good time.
And I know it because coming from a teaching background, like where you graft your bollocks off for like a very, hourly. So I worked out the hourly wage once. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was like £7.20 or something.
£7.20 as an hourly wage as a teacher.
It was
under minimum wage.
Fucking hell.
Going from that to like, I remember like, so you're not doing your mate's doing the fulfillment.
I don't do any fulfillment. Like that's what I mean. It was like I worked out pretty quickly. Like where's my value here? And like I wasn't good at sales, but I was better than anyone else we had at the time. So like, and I was like, I need to be on the phone. I need to be taking these calls. Like these leads are coming in. So I was like, fuck it, I'll get him to do that. So I was like, yeah, I'll give you £1,000 a month to do this. And then that quickly was like £1,500. So it was great for him because he was still, even when I left, he was still teaching.
Yeah.
We were paying him like 20 odd grand a year just to fucking side hustle these programs.
Yeah.
It's a good gig for everyone, I think. And
that's another reason why I like high ticket as well, because you have good margins, so you can get good staff and pay people well.
Yeah.
Rather than like, when you do low ticket, you still got to write the programs and stuff like that. So like, you're squeezing pennies out of everything and trying to get like random people like to do stuff off Fiverr for like £2.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you've got high ticket, you can get like somebody that you know that's really good at it. But like, hey, I've got a load of opportunities here for you.
Yeah, I think the way the only way for me that low ticket can really work is if it's automated, because if it's not automated, like sounds like a plug this, but it's not. Like if it's not automated, it's like I would not want to sit there and write anything for low ticket and customize.
I think you run aground otherwise. You just end up like it especially if you've got a big audience. So like we have a couple of like, the Irish lads that have blown up on like TikTok and stuff like that. Yeah. So they've got like 100,000 followers and a good engaged audience, and like where they like did a social media program that's like really good at growing stuff. I wish we could bottle it, to be honest with you. We're trying. I think the Irish accent really helps, to be fair. They're just really cool to listen to. But like they scaled, and a lot of them do group, apart from the ones that work with us that do high ticket.
Yeah.
And I just think they'll do all right to a point, and it'll be dead novel at first because they'll be like, yeah, I'm making like 7, 8, 9 grand. And then it'll just go, oh my God, like to get this to 90 grand, I've got to do 10 times more of the stuff I'm doing now.
Yeah, I think it works. If you've got a massively engaged audience and you do like, there's ways to do it. Like when we do low ticket with people, because it's automated and they get custom programming, it's dope. And, it's not like we partnered with a tech company on it who have like the best software. So it's like, that's great because they get custom. So what they can do is focus on, right, how do I get other people into this business? So they do other value stacks to bring them in, and then they over deliver. So it's waves on waves. So over time they can grow it. But again, like for me, it's a combination of both. It's like once those people are in that billable relationship on low ticket, you still got to do high ticket if you really want to ramp it.
Yeah, it's always an ascension process.
Yeah,
it's just a way in.
Yeah, bring them in on the. You got these people, even bigger audiences. It's great having like 1 million or whatever, but that still runs dry at some point. You can post and like people have seen it and it's old. And so you've got to, and then you might
start putting CPA on low ticket, it starts getting really messy, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, but like for me, like then you start running your ads, but no one's coming in cold and buying a 1,600, £2,000 product.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So it's like, you've got to bring them in on the low. So it's like when you are at that level of really trying to scale, I think you do need both, unless like you're in the game that we're in where it's B2B and it's like you can go straight
Yeah.
Straight massive ticket.
Oh,
you
yeah, I
what
know.
mean? Like,
Well, because you're selling money at that point as well,
That's
aren't
it.
you? So
It's a
like
different game.
there's a trade-off.
yeah.
It is a bigger pull. Like, I don't care what anyone says. You can get higher ticket for B2B.
Oh, yeah.
Always, because you're
Yeah.
banking on the business owner backing themselves going, yeah, I'm going to make this work. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. Whereas B2C, you've always got this is another one of those things. Like, I've tried this before and I've got fuck all, I've never done it and stuff.
Yeah. And I think as well, like in reality, people can get in shape on their own if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
And I think that, do you know what I mean? Whereas people see business as this like freaking enigma that they can't crack. You know what I mean? Like, it's like how do I actually make this work? When really, like, it's just doing the simple shit, innit? Over and over.
I think if you do a lot of the business courses, a lot of the foundations should be the same. I know some of them aren't. I know some of them like make these like big gimmicky, like, you've got to do this new thing, and it's like, it's not really like it all comes back to content, messaging people, like building an audience, talking to people, selling them, delivering.
It's relationships, innit? Getting people, like, building relationships with loads of people.
Yeah.
Whether that's content, audience, whatever, and then just get them on the fucking phone.
What was like Lewis and Owen's reaction like? Because like I remember like before I met Lewis, I'm not going to go into how I met Lewis because it's a long story that I can't say on camera. But before that, I remember when I was at uni, I think Owen was working at Lifestyle Fitness in town. Yeah. And I remember seeing him and knowing how big his social media was and just thinking like, I just feel like you're wasted here. You've got like that many followers. Surely there's a way to...
Yeah, I think, well...
Because that's such a limited group of people, right? And he's just like one of 10 guys trying to get a client in that limited group of people.
Yeah, I think back then, that must have been what
it was a fucking long time ago.
2014 or some shit. Like,
I don't want to say how long ago I was at uni.
I think the thing is, at the time, even if you look at like Joss and stuff, at the time, it was these, I even think Mike to a certain extent, these guys who had these growing social media, profiles, were still doing personal training and looking for brand deals, because when did Instagram even start? You know what I mean? So it was
that was the done thing.
And then you didn't have your people like your Tanners and stuff like that saying, well, this is the fucking way. And like the content wasn't as readily available in business. So like you can speak to a lot of people now who are somewhat switched on and on the social media, and they'll know bits about online coaches. People like you are like knocking out content and yourself and so on. And it's, but back then it was like personal training because that's bread and butter. And then it's like, what additional shit can I get?
Yeah.
Well,
the thing was like trying to be a celebrity personal trainer, weren't it? It was trying to like leverage your profile to like go to London, for example, and like be able to get £100 an hour, like training people.
Potentially, yeah.
That was like the route that people wanted to go in. It like, I'll go work in Mayfair, and like, because I've got a big profile, I'll get like all the bankers and stuff like that.
Well, I think with Lewis and Owen, I think Lewis and Owen's drive back then was let's get sponsors. But
well, that's where the big money was.
It was, and like influencer marketing was new, so it was probably more effective. And now it's not.
Yeah, do you remember the money that like places like EHP Labs and stuff like that were just throwing at people when they start up?
Mate, do you remember that Shreds one? And it had like,
yes.
Do you know what I mean? And like you had all these people doing big money off Shreds.
Throwing fortunes at them, weren't they?
Lots of money, mate. And it was like, even Lewis and Owen hadn't even heard of that kind of money. And that's what it was like, oh, this is the route. But I think at the time we probably had it nailed, because like I said before, we were doing like, Owen was driving traffic. This was back when he had like 70k. Probably getting more reach back then. Like,
yeah, I know.
But he was driving traffic to the DM communication, sold in the DM. I'd knock up a plan, fire it out. It was like 250 quid or whatever it was. And we were just like slapping them out. And that was probably the start of being on the right thing before a lot of people were. Probably like 2015, 16.
Did that graduate into something else, or did you kind of move away from it? Did you get busy?
We went into clothing, didn't we? We were like, oh, clothing's going to be the one, man. But I hate it with a passion. Like,
one of my best mates was into clothing.
Oh,
you come from the stress that I've seen that business cause him.
Oh,
you couldn't actually pay me. Someone went to me like, first of all, I wouldn't know what I was doing. But if I did know what I was doing and somebody came to me and said, will you like partner with me on this clothing company on like e-com? And so I'd be like, no, absolutely not.
I wouldn't. It's like, so it's service based all day for me. But it's like, the thing is, we like service based with what we do and what online coaches do. It's like there's no costs pretty much. And also,
especially when you start,
you're solving someone's problem. I think with clothing, you are solving someone's problem if you're making them look cooler in their head. Do you know what I mean? But it's not like, you've still got to make that person want your shit more than anyone else's shit. And you're trying to compete with people with massive marketing budgets. And I think that's really hard to do. And
I think there's definitely like, there's a way in with clothing where if you've got a pot of dough, you can kind of leapfrog a lot of the steps. Whereas with service-based stuff, I don't really think you can, because you've got to have the experience. Even if you've got the money to get the staff, you've got to have the experience of managing and training the staff and getting the service right. The bit that would piss me off about clothing is I like to be in control of stuff. If I buy a shipment of clothes and then the factory goes, oh yeah, bro, it's going to be like 14 weeks. And I'm like, you said 6. And they're like, yeah, we know, but it's 14.
It's not even
it
just
fucking
that,
do my nut in.
It's everything, isn't it? It's like, so you've got to like, let's say you're managing an agency to manage your ads, right? And that's kind of out of your control. And then you like outsource a bit of email or whatever. And then the hardest bit, is like, but it's so long from this idea in your head to actual execution and delivery to the consumer. It's like, you do a sample, then it's not right. And you fucking you have to do something else, and then
send fly over to like China and Turkey and Pakistan and stuff like that.
And then you're right. So many things are outside your control. Final product comes, you're like, meh. But you had that idea ages ago, and you've fallen out of love with it because and it's just, and the margins are so small.
But then you've sunk the dough into it then as well. So you're like, fuck it, it's going to market.
And the margin's so small, mate. Like so small. Whereas when you go high ticket to start, it's like.
Well, that shocked me. I saw, what's his name again? Reese Wabara. You know who does the Man of Devoir? And he's like, oh yeah, we turn over 36 mil. And I'm thinking, fuck me, that's big. Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, it's 6 mil profit. And I'm like, 6, like, not that there's anything wrong with 6 mil profit, like, but obviously I know businesses that are doing like 15 mil a year and are doing 7.5, 8 mil profit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just thinking, fuck me, like, that's a lot of dough that's going out. There's nothing wrong with it, like, but for the end product being the profit of the business that you can then kind of scale. I mean, I guess businesses like that have a high sellability, don't they? So that's where you make your money in the long run.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I remember I saw your content on that and I was like, like.
For me, just being used to margins that are way different than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, I think when you're in this B2B game as well, like your margin's so crazy, isn't it? It's like, you're like, fucking hell, if I was doing 36 mil.
Well, yeah, I know. That's what I did. I was like, I'd be retired.
Yeah.
Be on a yacht.
Yeah.
But again, the margin is years of probably taking it in the teeth of like figuring it out not getting it right. Like, or just maybe half getting it right and then fucking switching something else to try it because you think that might be a route. Like, you've done all the try and error. Like you said, you and Owen and Lewis were doing this stuff in like 2014, 15. I was selling gym programs to people in Bellevue Leisure Centre because they were all big dudes.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone knows Bellevue Leisure Centre, it's now the National Basketball Centre of Excellence. So they've knocked the whole fucking thing down. And St. Peter's, I think. I'm not sure whether St. Peter's is still there, but they've raised the whole thing to the ground and built this really nice leisure centre. I worked there when it was a shithole. Like, it was probably the worst leisure centre I've ever seen. And people used to come and pay cash, like people who'd been in like HMP and stuff like that because they didn't want the data like stored anywhere. So it used to be fun. Like, I used to enjoy it, especially when I was 17.
Yeah.
But like, I used to sell gym plans to them.
Yeah.
And I just print them off. To be fair, I was a fitness instructor. So I was supposed to be like cleaning the treadmills and shit like that. But I was like, can't be asked doing this.
Yeah, you want a bit. That's where the business started.
So you do have realistically.
Yeah, it is.
So like, people are like, how long have you been doing online training for? And I was like, if you wanted to take it back to like day dot, probably about a decade.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it's like when people see like the come up where you really start, because everyone's gonna, if people are like they're hustling now, like you'll have people on your program and stuff, and like we do and stuff that are hustling at the start of it. And I think if you just fucking stick with it long enough, like I think people see that the late surge and like, oh shit, look at these guys.
Sometimes that's half of our fault though as well. Like when you post up the stuff of like the numbers that people are doing.
Yeah,
but
true.
You expect people to be sophisticated enough to be like, you know, B2B especially, like, I think ours isn't really B2B. Like some parts of it are B2B and some parts of it are definitely more like just regular customer based, where people are like, well, why aren't I doing that? And you just think, because they've been fucking doing it for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And even before that, they were posting on Instagram for like 5 years. So they've already got a profile. I was posting on Instagram. Mate, I got in trouble. I've said this on another podcast. I got in trouble at school because I was doing fucking like nutrition things on the whiteboard, like working out calories and stuff like that. And they were like, you can't be posting that on Instagram. And I'm like, I teach it in like module AA of biology, the same thing. It's this like, you know, thermic equations and stuff like that. I was like, it's the same thing. And they're like, yeah, we don't like it. But I was doing content since before then. Yeah. And then after that, I didn't have my hands tattooed at the time. And I was like drawing it on a whiteboard with my hands and doing a voiceover so you couldn't tell it was me.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. It's like people don't see the foundations that you put in prior to, you know, and shit like the failures, you know, when we fucked up clothing and like, because we weren't looking after the money well enough or like just didn't really know how to market it effectively. In reality, it was just the wrong fucking business. But even like the programs and how we were driving traffic and we were still doing a bit of DM back then. And, you know, and I think, you know, that kind of, it's almost like an apprenticeship that you do, isn't it? Like doing the shit. And, you know, people don't see that. They just see this late surge and they're like, oh, why aren't I there? But it's like, just fucking keep going, man.
But then even that, like, if you look even at like people like, you know, the lads you've mentioned, like Joss and Lewis and Owen, like, first of all, they had to graft themselves to get in really good shape. Yeah. Because no one was going to follow them if they were like just little chubby kids, like that were running around. So they had to do that first. Then they probably posted on Instagram or whatever it was back then. It was probably just Instagram, weren't it? They're a bit young.
Well, they've got like a... Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like they were posting every single day, like going in, like actually thinking, right, what content can I get today? How can I get more followers? They didn't know what the end game was, but they were still putting in the work to build an audience.
Yeah. I remember we used to, mate, it was mad. Like even back then, like, so we were doing online click and buys. Yeah. Probably doing like 10 grand a month on them, just like 20 quid products, 30 quid products, quite good actually for when you consider the price point. And they were like one recurring, it was one times. And but then Owen would Owen would be paying, there's a page like Instagram bodybuilding or something, he'd be paying like, literally I remember him paying like hundreds and hundreds just for Lewis and Owen to have it. So they'd do a video with a guy called Joe and they'd do videos with them like editorial type, you know, music, motivational shit. Yeah. Some of the early stuff in lifestyle fitness and the car park around there.
There's good lighting in there, to be fair.
So they were doing that and they'd fire it to Instagram bodybuilding and they'd be like, yeah, it's $400 to be on the page.
So they were doing shout outs basically.
Yeah, shout outs and they'd be on that page for like 4 hours. It cost us 400 and then the thing would be taken down and it was like, but we were paying thousands on that and that was growing their following, you know, which again fed the kind of new eyes for the products and stuff. But yeah, so there's all those little, that's what people don't see, I don't think, all the little mistakes and, you know, we burned money on ads and stuff in the past.
Probably picked the wrong pages as well, like to do the shout outs with, like got fuck all out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even, to be honest, probably something we should do now. It's like, I was thinking this the other day as well, there's elements of our business even that we can massively still improve. It's like fucking that we used to do on another thing and it's like, shit, why aren't we doing that now? But it's like, you know, you go all in on like,
I know.
This is the strategy and this is the strategy and you forget about.
Sometimes you do forget, don't you? And then you're like, hang on a minute, that's how fucking Lewis and Owen grew. They're following in the first. So then you've got a kid comes in at like 20k followers and you're like, oh yeah, we'll go ads. And your brain goes like, why don't we try that thing that them two did?
Yeah, exactly. I think
it's a lot cheaper now, by the way.
Yeah,
it doesn't work as well, but it's cheaper.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There's more pages competing.
To be honest, we should.
I've got a spreadsheet I can send you.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, something we should do. It's like there's because we have these a few strategies that really work and make us big money. It's like that's what we do. But then like even things like that, like we should like for our clients, we should probably be doing.
If you get it right, the ROI is really good.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's like 8 to 10x.
I can imagine. Like exactly.
You just can't pump it like you can with ads. You know, like with ads, you can't pump ads. You still got to scale it up incrementally, but it doesn't work as linearly.
Yeah.
Ads is a bit more like maths based. It's
Yeah.
like call this in, this out.
Yeah. Ads is a funny one at the minute as well. Like, I mean, we can get people leads on the lead form for like in fitness, like even with low pages, like, you know, like a couple of thousand followers, go cold, and you can still get leads for like $1 or $2 if you do the creative right. Because the targeting's pretty open, isn't it? Because it's fitness.
It's broad, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, but even then, like, I think it's because the appointment setting section becomes a nightmare because it's so easy for people to go, oh, fill details. And then like you get all their information and it's like, do you know what I mean? And then they're like, what's this? It's like, well, you just filled it out.
Yeah.
So it's like, even that, working that out is quite hard. So you can get the leads cheap, but it's like, what happens
Still got to do the nurture.
Yeah.
That's why ads don't work for a lot of people, because they do it too early without the systems to run it.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way to do it without a setter in the middle.
Oh, well, there's
profitably
not.
anyway.
There's not.
People think ads are going to be like, you know, because they don't understand the internal workings of it. So they'll see like people like yourself post like the ad account and they'll be like, look how much they spent compared to how much they make. And it's not just a fucking money machine where you put it in and it comes out the other end. Like there's conversation and nurture in the middle of that process.
And mate, we've like, so we'll put in, let's say when we put like, I can't remember what it was at the time. It was like, put $1,000 in, pipeline 4 million. Like that's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But people have got to remember that, I mean, our bottom offer's 11 grand. So it's like, this, you know, that's the number of leads that you're getting. And but then in that middle section, it's like ad, but the ad's got to be like pretty much perfect to drive that. And then it's like, then we have to put a setter in there pretty much full time, because there's an option for them to book a call straight after the ad. And actually for us, it's quite good because a lot of them do.
Really?
But it's like, but I think it's...
What's the show up rate like and the conversion on it though?
You know, the show rate is good. It's like 70 something. And then the conversion's decent, man. Like, but because we do a 2-part close.
I was going to say, do you triage it first? So waste your time.
Well, it's like so the first call is really the kind of pitch, but it's like that's the longer call. And then we send the proposal, and then we hop on for the second call. There's sometimes drop off between the two because they get cold feet, and they're like, oh shit, it's a lot of money. And then obviously we take a percentage as well of the, so that's sometimes
should for what you're doing though.
Yeah, so that's like sometimes a blocker for some people. So I've got to pay this and then a percentage, but it's like, well,
start getting carried away with the numbers in the head, and you're like, yeah, but that left-hand column, you're not making that yet. So like, that's it. What like, you worried about?
Some people are like, oh, money. You know, this percentage is quite big, and I'm like, yeah, but without this, you know, you wouldn't have it.
I'd be like, tell you what, do you mind saying do you know what percentage? Can you say that, or does it?
30% we take.
So it's fuck all, really. So, right, go away and do it yourself. You try and keep 70% margins.
Yeah.
Have a go.
Well, the thing is...
Be my fucking guest. Grow your own business at 70% margins and come back to me. With all the stress that then comes with managing the team and finding them and hiring them and training them, paying someone to teach you how to do that in the first place, and come back to me and tell me what the numbers look like.
Yeah, it's crazy when you like, so you'll have someone who's like, let's say big following, and let's say in their online business, they might only be making like 5K a month out of it because they don't really know what they're doing. And I'm like, well, you know, what's the goal? Right. And they're like, well, I want to add another 5K. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, you got $1 million here. It's like $50 product. Get 100, we're good. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's easy for us. It's easy for us to, you know, execute on the fulfillment and stuff, but it's like, they don't have the systems at that point to make that money. So it's like, don't worry about.
Yeah. It's completely added revenue.
Yeah, it's added revenue. It's free money for you. And I think what also people don't realize is, all right, so if you wanted to, I mean, the software that our tech partners got, they've spent 2.5 million on it, or that was the last time I checked, and we reinvest every month. So it's like, go and try and build your own.
I consulted on one. Yeah. It was fucking chaos.
Like hundreds of thousands, I bet, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, I think he got investment from Boohoo at one point, or one of the sons, and it was just development is a fucking money drain.
It's mental.
Like, they're not cheap. And if you're really gonna do something with an app and have it live and running, you need a full-time web developer sat there in the beta phase, like fixing everything as it breaks.
Yeah, I think there's like 26 developers on the team for this platform, and it's like. It's mad. Like I watched a video from another influencer that we know who built her own. And I think she did a video, and it was to her followers. She was like, "Yeah, girls, it's coming soon. I'm $400,000 deep And,
I'm in it.
and it's glitching and I don't want to deliver it yet. I'm thinking, wow, like that's the kind of, so when people get a buy-in for 11K or if they want iOS, Android and it's 15 or whatever, it's like you're getting something that's 2.5 million that's just there for you.
And you just white label it from the
white
original
labeled,
software.
yeah.
But it's completely like separate on the App Store and stuff like that.
Yeah, separate, but like it's all their branding.
It's a bit of step up from white label then, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's more like buying the skeleton of the programming.
Exactly. And it's like, but it's fully staffed for them. It's like, it's everything. And it's, what we do is craft the offer, you know, around that, if that makes sense. Because it's like, the app's great. I say to my people, it's like, the app's great, but it's like, you give them customized programming, custom, so fuck. I'm like, what else? You know, are they doing a quarterly event? Are they doing an ebook per month, like that's educational with videos and this, that, and the other? Have you got an education system on your dashboard? And the people who perform better see the platform or the app as part of their value proposition rather than the thing. If that makes sense.
I'm going to sell the app.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm going to use the app to leverage my coaching.
I mean, I've got one guy in the US, he doesn't even do the nutrition element because he's a biomechanics specialist. His content's great. And he does like, he's got his biomechanics ebook on there. He does an ebook every month, but that's all education. He does like a live every week. And so his value is up here. I mean, his price is like 44 a month, but you know, you can scale to like 2,000, like, you know, because his content's good and he's put his time in on that.
What are the decisions that you make? So say someone comes in and they're like, right, let's not go crazy, right? I've got 100,000 followers. What is the decision process that you make with that person, depending on which avenue you take first?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So what would happen is, so the client success have like full responsibility to do that. But like for me, it depends on things like even like demographic and location. So I'll give you an example. We have someone from Cumbria, right? She's got 100,000 followers and if she could go high ticket, but because her following's from Cumbria and therefore they don't have as much money, like she would struggle high ticket. Or not struggle high ticket, but she'd
have to tap a new market.
Yeah, she'd have to learn a lot of new skills and so on and so forth. And then we don't have a Spanish speaking closing team. So our closing team's, you know, funnily enough, head up by Lewis and Owen. Like, it's just salesmen now. And but yeah, she would have to, in her circumstance, it's better for her to do low ticket, but she's scaling hard because it's like really affordable for the girls over there and it's great for her community. So location comes into it, demographic of the audience comes into it, how much work it would take for that individual to get from A to B in terms of skill set comes into it.
So do you look at them as a person as well and think, what have you actually got about you?
I mean, have you seen that testimonial we put out of that guy? Danny, you won't mind me saying, Danny, he came to us and he's got 1.8K followers. And what we do is it takes about 8 weeks for us to build their platform and stuff, which is pretty rapid, but it's like, I don't want them doing nothing for 8 weeks. So we give them access to our kind of video funnels on education and they get to work with our client success team. But client success will say, right, go and do something mid-high ticket. Here's how we do it. It will set you up a type form, but really it's DM for you. Here's how you sell. Here's your closing.
Kind of like the process that we go through with them, really.
Probably, similar. And then he went and made, what's he done? Like 10,000 in a month in his first month. He was homeless 4 months ago. And it's like,
they're the kind of people that come in and smash it though.
Yeah, because it's like, what I mean? He's so hungry and it's like...
And they're thinking, holy fuck, how easy... They're not thinking, oh, I've got to do my lead gen. Like, oh, I've got to post more content. He's thinking, oh my God, I was without a home last year and all I had to do was get hold of a phone and fucking message people. This is nuts.
Do you know what? Like people, like, you know, when people, DM and like, I don't want to DM all day, this, that and the other. I'm like, yeah, but do you know what? I wouldn't want to be like coming over here this morning. Like I was in traffic for about 20 minutes and I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, pick your poison.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
don't have to do it.
It's not that hard, is it? You know,
you don't. No one's forcing you to be an online coach.
Yeah,
like no one's got a gun to your head.
I mean, I think you said it loads. It's like, how many professions can you go from zero to like? He's a perfect example. 0 to 10K. Like you'll have loads of them. Like. That goes 0 to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10K like pretty quickly. And it's like, no other profession can do that.
I know.
Like I used to look at it because I used to be like, oh, I'm going to be a principal. So
100 grand a
year. I was like, I was like, I'm going to be a principal. And then I was like, oh, CEO of an academy, you know, like they're on good money now. And I was like, I was looking at it when I was back in education and I was like, what? Like, what am I doing here? It's going to be like years, and I'm at the mercy of someone else's shit decision making, like as to whether I'm going to make it or not. Because like
right people, right face.
Yeah, one of the reasons I left is like with what happened with our daughter, and then my wife went back to work, and then she was just like, they just weren't great with her. So I was like, nah, leave it. And then I just thought, fuck you. And that's when we started. It was like a bit of a fuck you. And but yeah, I was like, I'm not being at the mercy of someone else's shit decision making for this long to do 100 grand, 150 grand a year. Which what's your take home on that? 6-7 grand?
Yeah.
You'll have like 20-year-olds doing that on your program.
Oh
right?
no, it's silly. To be fair, you get more if you're a company director as well, because the dividends are a little bit nicer on tax.
Do you know what I mean?
Probably about 6. Yeah, well, so like Sam, one of our clients who's a CrossFit coach, like, I don't know if I'm telling this story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So sorry, Sam. But he said, like, you know, when he meets with his uni friends and they're all talking about what they're doing, he said he just don't know what to say. Because they're all like, yeah, I've got this job and it's like 30K a year. And like, I get a company car, so I could pick a Corsa or an Astra, something like that. That kid made that much money this year and he's not financially astute at all. He bought a Jeep outright. He doesn't drive. His missus has to drive it. I said, somebody said that's
a flex though.
Yes,
isn't
his
it?
driving test. Filming of this podcast is on Wednesday, so I hope he passes. Yeah, but now his missus has had it for about 6 months, so there's no way he's getting that car off her.
Get another one.
Yeah, I tell you, he wants an A45. Really, she won't drive that. She looks like a hooligan. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I said you should finance that. So he's like, oh, I bought it. I was like, oh, did you get finance from the car place? He was like, no, I just bought it.
Like people say that to me, oh, did you buy that Harry? I'm like, no.
Why would I? But like he was just, you know, that much money in his bank account. He's not 23, he's 26. He reminded me. Yeah. But like, yeah, fucking I can buy that and have money left. Yeah. Like, it wasn't like, it didn't drain him. Yeah. It was like it was an off the cuff decision.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think the number of people that I've met who could actually do something really good in business, but they just don't. People don't know what they don't know. Yeah. And you know, that saying to me, like, I love that saying, but it's like, I never used to make sense to me. But like, you know, when you start learning new shit in this,
loads of stuff does though. Like, I remember when I first started like doing this, and you'd look at businesses that are bigger, and you'd see how they ran it, and you couldn't quite grasp it. And I used to be like, I fucking never run my business like that. Like, other people coaching your clients, it's fucking ridiculous. That why would anyone do that? And then and now I've shut up because every time I get there, I'm like, oh, that makes loads of sense now. And every time I've had like an opinion on something about a business larger than mine, I've always got to that stage of business and been like, oh, this makes so much fucking sense now. So now I just don't say anything because chances are I'm going to get there. I'm going to be like, oh, I understand exactly why they've done this now. Yeah. So now I just shut the fuck up because I just keep making myself look like an idiot.
Yeah. It's like, do you know what I find mad? It's like, I feel like I'm winging it at every stage. Do you know? And that's what it is, isn't it? It's like I used to think, like, are we winging this a bit? And it's like, of course you are, because you've never been to that level yet, have you? So you've kind of got to make it up a little bit, unless you've got someone giving you a blueprint, which is why obviously mentorship's so big. But yeah,
I don't know. I think so. We've got that aspect of it, which is nice, but then you've also got the aspect of like, you know, when you get cold audience as well, and you're like, this guy's a fucking snake. Like rented car.
Yeah.
Well, technically, but you rent your house as well from the bank until you paid it off. Yeah. But like, you've got your car and you've got your trainers and your Rolex and your cap. But bullshit this. Yeah. And you're just like, there's no real way I can attack this conversation without looking like a knobhead, because you can't go away and prove yourself and be like, oh, look how much money we make, bro. You just have to be like, well, just keep watching. That's why nurture's so important. Yeah. It's like, well, just keep watching. And like, I did that with Tanner. Like, somebody said to me when I looked at Tanner like years ago, and someone was like, oh, I've done that, it's shit. And I took the word for it. And then because his ads are a bit like American, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we made X in 3 days. I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah, the guy was right. Yeah. And then eventually I just watched it enough and it like over like a 2-year period. And I was like, all right, you don't really strike gold twice. Like, there's something got to be right with that, because like people can make initial money like off bullshit, but you can't sustain success with a crappy product. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. So then I was like, right, fuck it. Like I'm gonna get in. And I'm like, as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, I'd have got where I am in business now like so much sooner if I'd have just pulled the trigger on it. Yeah. Because their stuff like really aligns with like the way I do business.
Yeah,
like,
I can tell.
I've done other stuff. I've done like some like other American and Australian stuff, which is like like group based, and it's like all about webinars and stuff like that. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
I can't watch an hour-long webinar. My head goes mad.
Yeah, I did an American one. Someone else from like Florida, and it was just like I'd hop on, like there's all these videos, and I'd hop on once a week, and that was it. And
Yeah.
And it was weird when I guess like because what we did was when we first started doing the success with the transformations, we had other PTs and stuff saying like, how do I make it? Like, I want to do my own app and this, that, and the other. I'm thinking, well, an app's great, but it might not get you where you want to be. You need to start high ticket. So we started mentoring a little bit, but it was more like there'd be like 3 calls a week, and they were group calls, and then we'd have a video funnel of, right, watch this, and we would give them step to step and book one-to-ones. But it was like that was just like a side to the transformations, and but I learned that model pretty much off this other course, which I mean, I paid about 15 grand for it.
Yeah.
And it was like,
I've just paid 15 grand for one very similar that I fucking had to cancel.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. And it was like, and it was all, and so I guess the reason we ran that like that was because I was learning it off this guy for the 15. I thought, oh, this must how it is. But like, obviously now when we have the videos and all that, they get client success meetings like every other week. And I'd still do a group call, but it's more of, because I can see everyone's Stripe accounts. So it's like, right, where's the problems in the business, in everyone's business here? And then I can deliver on that in a weekly session. Whereas the client success are like holding them accouable, like, like you guys do. And that's where the success is, rather than these like, crappy, like in my opinion, where it's just like, here's all the shit, go away and do it. Because it's like, we did have some success with that initial program, like quite a lot of success actually, but it was too much based on the individuals.
Yeah, so that's exactly what we found, that it was entirely dependent on their ability to synthesize information. It's like teaching, right?
Yeah.
It was only really kind of the top 50% of the class that would succeed with it. And then you got all these other ones, and you're looking at do you remember like the grey area kids?
Yeah.
The ones that sit at the back and nod, and you're like, they're all right. And then you get the test at the end of the month, and you're like, he fucking didn't understand anything that I said for the past term. Fuck.
How do you fuck that up?
Do you ever do it at parents' evening? Like I used to have like a list with like all the pictures on it. See, because they sit down, right, and they go, yeah, I'm John's dad. And you're like, sound? Like, who the fuck's John? Like, second name, anything? Like,
but how many classes did you have?
Oh, mate. Yeah, because you're A-level.
I was A-level. I had like 4 classes.
Mate, I had 2. My year 7 nurture group with Minx was like 6 of them. Like, the ones that all go around together. I used to love that class. I managed to teach them to do experiments in silence to like, old school silent music, like movie themes. And they used to all I did it for Ofsted once, and they loved it. I had a year 7, 2 year 8s, a year 9 and a year 10, and a form. Yeah, so like I just used to have like registers with the faces on it. Yeah. So I could be like, John Smith. Oh, it's that kid, right?
That kid who says nothing.
Because I know who he is, but like names, I was shit.
I'll tell you what, I hope there's some people in here, like, because like we both come from a teaching background there. Like, I hope there's some people like listening to this who've got like standard jobs who would like this, there's nothing, not that there's anything wrong with that, but that are thinking, shit, I want to do more, but I don't know what.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I say this to everyone, just go and learn sales. Just fucking start selling.
Yeah.
And I think
we've got that arm now. Vicky started launching the B2C stuff on being a closer.
Oh, sick.
So we've got like a full-on course that of like how to be a closer, like so broad sales training, and then when we find them a position, or if they find a position, we'll train them on that specific bit.
Sick. That's class.
Yeah, it'd be good.
That's class.
I think it's going to be a big thing. Like if you go to America, like being a setter and being a closer is more normal. I think you close for like solar companies, and you close for this company, and you close for that company. I don't think I know sales is a big industry in the UK, but I don't think like remote, like online closing
it's not,
is a big thing yet, and I think it will be.
Yeah, I think we just follow what they do every time, right?
Pretty much.
But yeah,
hasn't let us down yet.
Yeah, I know.
It's doing all right.
But I think I think it was a massive one. I would always used to be like, oh, what do I do? Like, if I want to do something, what do I do?
Yeah.
And in the end, I just fell into this kind of learning sales thing because of, where Lewis and Owen were, and we managed to set this offer up. But I think it's life changing to learn sales if you learn it right.
Absolutely.
I think the volume that's where I feel like I look at you guys in admiration, because it's like you've done what you've done and you didn't have that following. Like it's like a proper, grind.
I think, you know what? you say that, but we've had people come in with audiences that are large and struggled.
Yeah.
Because I think so, like, that's why I mentioned it to you the other day. Like, yo, do you have like a kind of bracket that your stuff really works well for? Because I don't want to do it because it comes up with more problems. Like it causes, there's a different sets of problems with everything. So having a small audience, generally the more engaged, you've got less shit to deal with. You're not trolling through a load of weird comments and like, you know, you don't get messages lost in a sea of people like sending love hearts and thumbs up and stuff. So it's like, it's messy. Your setter has to be trained differently because your setter on an account with like 5,000 followers can be a bit of a sniper. Like, and it's, whereas yours have got to deal with so much volume to it. It's like almost like prospecting. It's prospecting. It's like this, trying to find the people in the audience that are actually relevant.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'd say that there's an interesting point on that, actually, the way we run Jason Calambe's now. But back to that original point, it's like, you guys, like, when you first built your fitness business, though, it's like just complete hustle right up, isn't it? And like, whereas I had 2 million eyeballs, do you know what I mean? Like,
same work, though, I think.
But what it allowed me to do, so back to, I guess why I was saying it is, back to that original point of learning sales, it's like, where I almost had like a cheat code. It was like we had so many leads that we could get so much practice in so quickly.
That's it. You scale faster.
Which is why it went so quickly, because it's like we had so many DMs, we had so many leads, we had so many calls. So the set in and the DM in and the actual sales calls, it was like your practice is
volume.
Like I got through, you know, what it would take someone a year's worth of calls in probably a month.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was like I was like that skilled after that period of time. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's worth it. Like we tell our guys when they come in, like
take every call.
Take it
to every call. Because
unless you're full, if you've got call slots that are open, your form's too advanced. Name, email. Are you alive? Yes. Done. Just get them on the phone.
Because ours was like a 15 question, and
to be honest, that's probably a mistake. Isn't it?
Like, because I wanted it to be like, I wanted that form to get rid of people, and we still get people on there like ridiculous stuff, and like so we'd get all those through. But like, I think like when you're first starting, take all the calls you can, because that's where you learn the shit, innit?
You'll get good at sales doing one sales call a day. Like imagine if you were working in like IT sales. You'd be on the phone all day. If manager walks past you and you're working in like office-based sales, and your phone's down, it's like, what
are you doing?
Lewis, like my best mate used to work in sales for like I think it was IT or something like that. And he said like they had a number of dials that they had to make a day. Like you had to literally dial X amount of numbers.
It's like recruitment as well, isn't it?
Yeah, very similar process.
Yeah, I had a mate who works in recruitment. But on that DM point, man, like we again fortunate, but it's a lot to run. Like we work with Jason Calambe, and he wanted to run traffic to his DM over other stuff. When he does the content for it, he's class. He'll use something viral, which will grab people's attention, and then it'll go into him doing a pitch. But he drives traffic to the DM, but he'll get loads of people commenting the word he wants. But he'll literally get 500-600 DMs. Yeah. And like our setters have just got to go. And it's like, do they qualify? If they do, then we'll send them to a little type form. We'll find out a bit more about their earnings and stuff, because we don't even take the calls with like lower kind of earners, because they can stack out every day because of who we work with. But yeah, that's a process in itself, man. But if anyone is like listening who has got that large following, that drive to the DM, because you build that relationship before you're asking them, give me this sensitive information. You can build a relationship.
I think that little bit of, so like when our guys are doing DM, if we did it for them, for example, the same way that you do, it would be more successful than I think when you guys do it initially, because you'll have this, that's not him. I'm sure you'll get that a lot with your audience.
In the DM.
Do you? Or
no, like, and do you know what?
I guess if the first DM's good, then
I'll tell you what was good, right? So yeah, if we ever do and they're a bit dubious, we're like,
voice
note. I'll tell you what, here's a good one.
So let's ring this bloke.
this is a good one. So we had we worked with Matt Griffiths. You know, he was on Love Island, right?
Shit, yeah. Scouse lad.
Yeah. And we were just running his DM, and one of our setters, he just got on his phone a load of pictures of Mac, with like, because he always changes his hairstyle. He had like cornrows pictures in different outfits. He had frizzy hair in different outfits, like all these things. And someone would be like, "Is this really you?" And then
Said it myself,
Deck had just text Mac just going, "Yo, what trim have you got?" He'd be like, "I've got cornrows, bro." And he's like, "I'm just looking for my Mac cornrows." He pings it off and be like, "Yeah, it's me, bro." do you know what I mean? So he'd do that, but he'd want to make sure it's what he had on, but then he'd get back like, "Oh, bro, what do you bench?" And like, our guy Deck doesn't really train, but he's like, "What do you bench?" And he'd just be like, "Oh, fuck. What do you bench?" Do you know? Stuff like that. But that's like Mac's personality as well. So
you've got to be dead clued up with it though. Good. And that's one of the things that like we don't use a lot of English as a second language based setters unless English is very good for them, and not their formal English, because actually the formal English is usually fucking perfect. The problem is when you've got them impersonating someone, they find it very hard. And the English dialects of like English slang makes absolutely no sense at all to anyone. And you'll know from being a teacher, right? Like you get a kid English as a foreign language, they're like, do not use any slang terms, anything shortened. Don't call him lad or mate or anything because they don't understand it. And I think like, you know, you saying lad's called Deck clearly is you've trained him up yourself. And
it's funny, like all our staff are either people I know or both. People I know or have come through a program of ours. Like that I was saying about Juan earlier, who actually came through as a transformation client, and he's like from Panama. He was teaching English in Vietnam at the time, but he was doing transformation with us. Guy was absolutely shredded. I was like, why are you with us, mate? But his vibe was just.
But I bet he's come through like looking at Lewis's, knowing his content and stuff. So like, he knows how
he's an employee
right?
now, isn't it? So it's like he's just, I don't know. It's like, so we've trained him up fully, but the guy's like, he's an engineer. He's a smart guy. Like, but we've trained like everybody. Like Deck works in sales. He works in like the fashion industry, and he does sales there. But he manages staff and he just grinds. So it's like everyone's like a friend or something. So it's like that allows us to maintain our kind of culture.
We're very much the same. Like very much the same. Our team is like proper tight knit. I think it's such a huge thing when you're trying to deliver at the level that we try and deliver at.
I mean, you'll employ on personality and like values and stuff first, right?
You've got to back yourself to be able to teach them the role anyway.
Yeah, they can all learn anything. So it's like, that's what we've done essentially. Like we've got to get like my mate who's a teacher, he's like our head coach. So he's great in coaching. He's like obsessed with it. But he now understands like the full back end of the app. Like, cause I'm like, go and learn that. So it's like everyone that we have is like it's a person first, and then they get the skills.
So what's the kind of team that you input then on these businesses? So you've already said like they get a closer, they get a setter. So
it depends. So like it depends on.
Say you're running a high ticket one, for example.
Yeah. So it depends on like the individual. So some individuals, it's like they'll get the training and they do it themselves. Because like we have some young guys in the US with 100K, for example. They want to do their own sales, and I advise them. I'm like, look, do your own sales, and then you watch it when you're 28, because they're like 20 years old. I'm like, you'll be a millionaire, right? Do you know what I mean? Easy. And it's like, so I'm telling them that. So that's how we nurture. So we don't do sales for everybody, but let's say someone comes in, huge following, they need it completely done for you. They'll get someone in their DM, or two people in their DM. They'll get closers. So they get our closers. We sometimes, ads is sometimes like an added on service. Sometimes it's included for some. But it depends on obviously the revenue they're generating. If they're a big account and they're generating loads of revenue based on the percentage, then it makes sense for me to go, right, I'll do you a favor and do this. Because
everyone wins, doesn't it?
But yeah, so it's generally ads. They get like someone on strategy. They get, so on the strategy, they'll have a meeting, at least one meeting a week if it's a big account, one every other if it's slightly smaller. And then they'll get, closers, setters, ads, email marketing. Like email's something that we're not doing as much. It's more like, we're training them on how to use ChatGPT, like we said, and actually how to implement it properly in Klaviyo. So it's something they can do themselves, because we look at the number of leads that some of these guys have got coming through, and it's like, why aren't they going in all in a nurture campaign, man? It's like, set that up. But it's like, for us to write 200 nurture campaigns, we've got that many clients.
It'd be a nightmare. It'd be a fulfillment issue. Yeah,
that's what I mean. So it's like, we're at that point now where it's like, we're going to have to like look to take on more and more staff because we're growing so fast. So, hence, we're looking at getting that office because it's way easier to make, like, control.
Keep it all in house. Yeah, I would if I could be asked going into an office. It's a good
I can't
idea.
really be asked going in, but the great thing is,
then again, if you look at the margins and you think, right, we'd make this much more if everyone was
well,
in-house and we
I
could
think
control
so.
it.
I think we could double our business if we're all together, like literally,
Without adding only the cost of the office.
The cost of the office, but that's only going to go for tax, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like I'll just pay it off the office and all be together. And also, it's like things like this, like when you look at my page, Lewis's page, Owen's page, Josh's page, there's 4 lots of content needed there. So if we're all together, we pay once. If we're all separate, which we are now, we pay 4 times. So that doesn't make sense.
It's efficiency of scale, isn't it, really?
Yeah. There's another thing that we've like, we talk about Lewis and Owen's content over the years. It's like, we've made what we've made on Elevate once we converted to Elevate. We've not even freaking really done any content. We've been really shit with our own content. We're bollocking everyone else for content. We're shit with our own. So.
I guess like, is a lot of your top end stuff quite referral based then? Because I'm guessing a lot of these guys sort of know each other and they're like, bro, like I see the fitness thing you're doing. Like I was thinking about doing something like that. And they're like, I don't know what I'm actually doing. Like you gotta. Yeah,
more and more referrals now. But like we built Elevate, like, we run ads and stuff, but Elevate was built on DM. Like DM was,
I remember at one point because you're running it through Lewis's account.
It's just Lewis Owens and Josh's.
Because I remember some like people kept coming to me like I think they'd seen like me and Lewis in a picture somewhere with Tosh or something like that, and they're like, "You know this guy?" And I'm like, "Sort of, yeah." And they're like, "Keeps fucking messaging me," and I'm like, "Bro, I know kind of how Lewis lives his lifestyle, and I'm 99.9% sure at 9:04 p.m. on a Saturday, he's probably not sitting in his gaff messaging you on his phone.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a business thing. Either like reply nicely and ignore it or just ignore it.
Yeah.
Like
we say that now, like, because we're friendly and stuff. It's like if they say, "Oh, I'm working with a mentor," and if they say it's you, we're like, "Yeah, just go for it, man. Like, good luck." Like, do you know what I mean?
We do. But our normal funnel, like, and to be fair, like, I wouldn't even care if it was the way that we normally do it. Like, if we get a name that we're not quite sure of, it's like, cool, are you happy with it? Are you getting the results that you want? And if they go, yeah, we're like, sound, crack on.
Yeah,
like, there's no more conversation to be had here. If they go, no, I fucking hate it, I'm not getting the support I need. We red flag them because we're like, clearly it's a 50%. Like, there's a roadway each way.
Yeah.
But it's like, fucking carry on.
Yeah. I mean, like,
business is like,
for us, like, we don't really, I know yours isn't really mentorship, is it? It's like done kind of with you. And there's the accountability.
We've gone back towards like more coaching now.
Yeah.
Because the fulfillment it's a great offer, but like the fulfillment was just getting to the point where, and the attitude was getting to the point where people thought it was fully done for you to the point where they wouldn't have to fucking do anything.
Yeah.
And it murked the lines a little bit. And I was like, I like the idea of it more than the actual execution of it.
That's what we get that sometimes. Like, people expect everything. I'm like, fucking hell, mate. I'm not the gift that keeps giving here.
Yeah, like you've got to play your part. Like, you're getting 70% of the dough here. So there's got to be a something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like,
there's no such thing as a free lunch.
That's what I mean. So, can't remember the original point now, but yeah,
we were doing a slightly different offer at first, I think, anyway, so it didn't really cross over.
Yeah, well, like I said, like, that was it. Like, so when we speak to people, it's like, well, we don't really do the mentorship, is it? It's like more like we build you the systems.
Yeah.
Because I've actually thought sometimes, to myself sometimes that like some of these people coming in with the lowers and still want it because they're like, I want a platform, I don't want to do programming, this, that, and the other. Well, the automation can do it for you because it's still custom. I'm like, fucking hell, just send them to someone like you to help them grow.
Depends what they want to do though, innit? Because if they're coming to you and say, listen, I'm happy taking a back seat, run the ads, do whatever, but then it just becomes like, they just become another body then. Like, why don't you just fucking go grab someone off the street and be like, right, bro, we're going to give you 10%. All you need to do is post on Instagram.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
you swing the percentages if somebody comes in like...
We don't go... So the only way we do more is if we only do high ticket for them.
Okay.
Really. So like before we were even doing the platform builds, people that we were working with, it was 40%. And that was just for sales and fulfillment. It's quite high, but literally we'd have like...
To be fair though, margins... Like,
yeah, I mean, we'd have these big influencers.
You said to me, you come and run all my sales, fulfillment, and for 40%. I'd be like...
Yeah.
All right, yesterday.
But honestly, we've had like massive influencers. All they've had to do is post. Just post. And then like do some interaction in the kind of WhatsApp groups or however we decide to run it for that individual. So I do some, like do one Zoom a week with everybody, Q&A, and like people are like, oh shit, Mike Thurston on the call, you know, like that kind of stuff. So they love it. But
that's pretty nutty, that though, isn't
yeah,
it?
but in reality, like they're not doing any of the coaching and they're not doing the sales. They just like literally see the stripe every day, like bang, bang, bang.
How do you run the quality assurance of all of that stuff then on the fulfillment side?
So I think it's putting someone that you trust at the top of each department. That's number one. So in terms of coaching, like it's like the guy who was with me from,
because that's what could kill it, innit? Like that's the big the big issue you have with the fulfillment. If someone goes, oh yeah, it was fucking dog shit. Like.
Exactly. I think and so in terms of like for the B2C element of when we're working with influencers, the coaching's relatively easy. The sales, Lewis and Owen are at the top of that, so it's like it's my brothers in it, so I can like what's going on.
You're happy with it,
and we track everything but that team's good. And then in terms of fulfillment of client success, it's like me looking at the Stripe accounts and having 2 meetings with client success every week. Like, what's going on with this client? What's going on with this client? You know, some people, if anyone did have a bad experience, we do like it's like school. We still do like almost like attendance records.
Yeah.
So if they're like missing all their meetings, it's like, what's going to happen? Like, we've messaged you here.
We do exactly.
You missed all these. Like what? You know. You can only do so much, can't you?
We don't even like argue with people sometimes. You know, someone comes to us and like, listen, I'm like, I don't think this is for me, like, etc. The only thing we ever take issue with is with, you know, some people just have this reason to have a reason. So like, oh yeah, I don't want to do it because of this. And you're like, well, actually, the data that we've got on you says that you're not, like, your coach has messaged you 9 times and you've not replied to him. And then you go, oh yeah, well, actually, I've decided I'm going traveling. And I'm like, cool, why don't you just say that in the first place? Like, instead of making it a witch hunt.
Yeah. I think with us, it's less about people wanting to leave because obviously there's a percentage deal there. It's like, oh, this hasn't been done or this hasn't been done.
Yeah,
so,
yours is definitely more like
we requested this. Do you know what I mean? So there's it's like SOPs. It comes down to SOPs.
Well, bro, that's what when we started doing the done for you stuff, that was the issue that made me go, nah, I'm not doing it because we were like, right, we need all this data, we need all this stuff from you to be able to set this up for you.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, it's been 3 weeks and it's not been done. I'm like, we are still waiting for the same stuff I asked you for 3 weeks ago. And like some people can't, like obviously my bank's in Dubai now. The amount of people who don't send IBAN details when they send me an invoice and I send it them straight back and say, hi, do you mind putting your IBAN details on there so I can send you the money? In nothing from them. 15 years later, that invoice still hasn't been filled yet. Really snotty email. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm sorry, am I supposed to imagine your IBAN details out of nowhere? I asked you for a bit of information, you didn't send it me. How is that my problem?
Yeah.
I've had one the other day. Can you wet sign that? I had to authorize my card for something.
Yeah.
Wet signature.
What even?
You had to actually physically sign the piece of paper with my hand.
Heard that term
and he said fax it to me. I'm like, yeah, let me just go and dig in the fucking cave in the back and dig out my fax machine. I was like, I'm 31 years old. I've never used a fax machine in my life.
Mate.
And then so I said to her, like, there needs to be another way of doing this because literally that's not happening. Like, it's not being done. You got 2 choices. I'm coming to London next week anyway. I can pop in and if you need a wet signature, I'll do it by hand, but then it's not getting done until next week. Or you can send it me on a DocuSign and I'll sign it right now. Okay, let me get back to you. I just don't understand it.
Mate.
So that's why we do less done for you now because it's of the paper, like almost the paperwork of it, and like we need all this from you. Because I'm shit at that.
Yeah,
but I'm accepting of it. It's like when our ads team's like, hey Steve, can we get the links for the application forms and can we get the data off your active campaign and this and that? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, and then just.
But I'll never go to them and be like, guys, where's my fucking ads? Like, why is it not up and running? I'm like, oh shit, I need to get that done.
Yeah, I think back to that issue of done for you. I think done for you. I've had this idea sometimes, and I'm like, how much are we really going to do, like long term? Like, because it's either going to be a massive management issue for me and then anyone underneath me leading teams long term, or which is going to cost a lot. Or it costs a lot to fix that issue, or we kind of trim back on some of the services that we see as less needed, which is why we do kind of deals for if someone's got an X kind of page, we'll do this amount for you. If it's this, we'll do this amount for you.
Well, I think you just graduate that series down and actually probably focus on using these guys to leverage these guys. Like we run this, and this. we can teach you how to do it
well,
for yourself.
That's pretty much where we're at with it now. I just want
because you'll run out of these as well eventually.
Yeah. I tell you what, there's some mad examples of businesses though. There's one in the US. It's a software company, right? And they do low ticket. I'm not sure the software is that amazing. Like one of my partners told me it wasn't great, but they've only got 20 clients, right? And so they take a revenue share on the back end. They've only got 20 clients, but they do 300 odd grand a month on the revenue share because 7 of those clients are like heavy hitters.
Yeah, so that's the other way you can go is just minimize it and really kind of condense.
So I mean, you'll get some people on these rev share deals, bro, that are doing like 3 million, 2 million on low ticket like a year, and then there's a percentage coming in, and it's like that's quite. It's just finding more of them, doubling down on those, and
that's a very different like acquire pathway, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that's the like handshake, go out to dinner,
mate.
discuss the opportunity.
That's why we went to LA. We did some business in LA. It was like,
I can imagine with the top guys, it's not just as easy as DMing and popping on a Zoom call and
weirdly, like
I bet some are.
A lot of most of our business is just DM call to.
But as you start going like towards the kind of top of the pyramid style bit,
you want to get like a,
because it's almost a PR thing as well, isn't it? Like if they give you do the keys to their business and you run the back end, I'm assuming there's a lot of trust involved.
Mate, like we're logged into people's DMs. Like you got people with like 1 million followers saying, here's the password. Like, I mean, you've got 2FA, so I'm like, if you got 2FA on, like,
please, for the love of God, we'll VPN it. Don't worry about it.
So it's like, but but it gets to that level of trust. So you got to have a really good. I mean, but then there's one guy that we met in LA. Met him once, and then he let us in. He's got like 3 or 4 of our team in his deal. But he's a great guy. It's just like, but because he does day one, and we make him like 10 grand. He's happy, and it's like
it's really cool. Like the guy that we do our closing stuff with. We got to look at some of his stuff the other day, and they've got he works with all the Selling Sunset team.
Yeah.
So like, see all these accounts. I'm like, well, Shannon twigged it because I don't fucking watch it.
Yeah.
Like, is that guy? And he's like, oh yeah. And I'm like, that's fucking mad. That.
So he's in all their DMs and
sales.
And sales, nice.
Well, he sets closes for them.
Nice. Yeah, it's when it gets to that level, there is a lot of trust involved, and I think the bigger the account you go, it's more like
Have you ever tried to like run mastermind stuff with the top lot?
Do you know what it's like? Like like you're doing a bit of a like one next street, right? And it's something we've never ran one. We've never looked to. I think it's something we need to do.
I think
we've got the eyeballs.
Cool. Yeah,
we've got the eyeballs to do it.
Especially for these guys and these guys, particularly.
They need different stuff
because they would look up to these, and I think everyone are probably because they're similar but far enough away. Like they probably learn a lot from. Oh, you're actually doing this, and they're like, oh yeah, I do.
It's like we had that conversation. It's about when I speak to your guys next week. It's like there's not a lot different.
Yeah,
it's just different scales, and there might be a slightly different emphasis on this.
Yeah. I think there's different mindsets at different levels, though, for sure. Like there's different levels of conversation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But the fundamentals just remain the same,
which is scary, and I bang on about all the fucking time. But no one ever believes you until they actually do it.
The thing is, like your guys, like learning the stuff and then doing it themselves. It's like they'll know more than a lot of these top guys because a lot of the top guys have people like us doing the services for them. Do you know
I think some of them eventually are going to do that. Some of them are going to twig on. Our guys that are really skilled but maybe don't particularly have the face or the body or the personality or the, some people just, you'll know, right? You run ads for certain people and they just bang. And you'll run the same VSL script. It'll be essentially the same fucking words. Yeah. There's a reason why Shannon and Vicky are going to do the ads for the closing and the setters thing, and it's not going to be me because the fucking mid-20s birds. Like the cost is going to be fucking through the floor. Si's ads for his media thing. Si looks like a media guy. Like you look like a videographer. He's got a ponytail and a beard. No, it is. Like you've got the whole bohemian thing. Like it works. And some of them, fucking God love them, they're just not going to do 200 grand because the cost of getting there is going to wreck all the margins. So they could technically, like monetarily, get there with the right strategies. But they're gonna have to pay so much extra or like take so much extra on the chin. Mm-hmm. I think some of them are gonna end up going, bro, let me run your business for you. I'll do all the
I
back
think
end. We'll
it's
50-50
I
it.
think it's a fucking wise move, man. Like it's essentially what I've done.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I've done. And that's the
At
route
scale now, though.
Yeah, at scale now. But
even if they picked one,
oh mate,
you know,
if they
for a lot of people, like doing.
But they pick one and they get more. And
Well, you just see how easy it is, don't you?
Oh
I think.
mate, like it's mad now. It's like, you know, like I can, when I speak to some of these bigger guys, I'm like, they're like, oh, what am I going to make? I don't know, month one, 50K minimum. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, and like how can you say it like that? I'm like, because I've done it so many times. Like it's just a repeatable system, and it's easier when, you know, when they've not done it before.
Yeah,
it's a fresh offer. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think if some of your guys, because they're learning all the stuff that you're teaching, which is exactly the stuff that we do.
Yeah,
you know, if they have a relationship, I said this to some people once. Like, it's like learn sales, learn kind of how to market and how, like, fulfillment's easy, or outsource your fulfillment, whatever you want to do. But approach people or build relationships with people with massive followings, because it's like, what have they not got necessarily? Like, with all due respect to them, and this won't be every one of them, but it's like, what have they not got the skill set to do the marketing and sales in the right way? What have you not got? Yeah, and what have you not got? The eyeballs.
Yeah,
and the attention. So it's like, all right, marry it up.
Yeah,
you know.
And even on a lesser standpoint, like, not as interlinked as that, but like, bro, I'll tell you what, like, I'll do some work with you and help you, like, set up your back end, right? I'll give you my email. So let's do some posts together, so I get some of your following over, so I can help convert it, and like, everyone's a winner. I think a lot of people don't leverage social media the right way anymore. Like, they immediately go to they don't socialize realistically. Yeah. And like, if you get yourself in the right rooms with the right people, like,
that's true. It's all about, like, that's what my business is built on.
Yeah.
Like, just connections with the right people, period. So yours will be the same.
Yeah, I bet yours is more tiring than me, though, because I don't have to go to LA.
Oh, mate. That was Joss.
Are you the busy professional that has to go out and have dinners and drinks and stuff?
To be honest, I don't even like, mate. I'm all about, I'll just chill in the UK. I like my routine, man.
Yeah, no, I'm
Whereas,
the same.
like, Joss, for example, doesn't have, like, ties to anywhere.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, let's go LA, man. We'll meet these clients. And I mean, we've got like 20 something clients in, like, LA. So it's like, it was probably
worth it.
It's a good idea to go and meet the clients, and, you know, that's good. And but yeah, it was one of them where, I don't know, you just, I'll take it or leave it, man.
Yeah.
Like, going away, I like my routine. Let's just crack on.
To be fair, you've always seemed like out of that kind of, even though you could easily been in it.
Yeah, like Lewis, that was Lewis and Owen's bag, wasn't it?
Yeah, Lewis loved it.
Yeah. But he's sensible now until he's around certain people in Manchester.
I noticed he settled down, to be fair. Coincidentally, as he moved.
That's why he went away.
I did.
That's why
time out.
He came back to Manchester. He came back to Manchester and he was just going out every weekend. I was like, "You're right, bro. I've got to leave, man.
Getting out.
I've got to get away." I said, "Where are you going?" He's moved
tonight.
Next thing I know, yeah, I'm living in York now.
Fucking hell. You guys are from the Lakes originally.
Yeah, Lakes, bro. Yeah. Man, I look like it's weird, man.
Cumbria to LA.
Yeah, bro. It's a funny one. I was in Kendal the other week, and I walked into a shop, last minute Christmas shopping for my mum.
Yeah.
Seen this girl that I used to work in a shop with when I was like, I was just thinking, you know, when you don't like, you know, she's obviously happy, and it's like, but when you don't leave a certain place or experience, like, it's, if I'd have still been in Kendal, God knows what I'd have been doing, man.
I sometimes quite like it now, though. Because I go play basketball with, like,
I like going back, lads
that I, like, went to school with, and like, none of them know jack shit. Like, a lot of them don't even have Instagram or Facebook, or I don't have them on Facebook. Like, it was a nightmare getting us all together, and it's like a WhatsApp chat. So like, other than me turning up in a bright Range Rover, like, that's the only clue. Yeah. And just no one asks me shit. Like, and it's mint. Yeah, and it just sick. Get to play basketball like I was Steve when I was 15.
Yeah.
Whereas like now I go to, like, and I, you know, it's part of it, and I really actually do like speaking to people. But sometimes, like, there was one time I was at a festival and I weren't really in a state to be speaking to people, and this guy's like talking to me about personal training, and I'm like, my brain's about to explode. I'm sorry, like, and you know, like, it just, you have to, I feel like you can be more of yourself, of like, not more of yourself, but I've lost the point that I'm getting at. It's just
When
a
you're with
different
your old,
mentality.
like, yeah.
It's a different mentality. And that's why I don't believe in like the cutting off and going to new circles thing.
Nah.
I think different circles do different things for you.
Yeah. I think like I love going, but I've to be honest, I've only ever seen I've seen my schoolmates like 2-3 times since I left.
In fact, I hadn't until we did this.
Exactly, and it's good to catch up because it's just a different vibe. Isn't
Yeah,
it? Like,
that's it.
If we're chatting, it'll be business, investments, whatever. Like, what's the best way to do this? Whereas you chat with them, it's just like same old shit.
Football.
Yeah, exactly.
Football.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
It is good fun though. Wrap it up. We will wrap it up. It's like Simon just give us a sign that saying this is getting on a little bit too long, which we have a habit of doing on the podcast.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Because I saw the time, then I was like, well, is this an hour? Like,
yeah. So if you can't see, I don't know whether you'll be able to see this, but we have this screen here that tells us the time. But I'm that fucking stupid at one point that I assumed that I just kept glancing at it and I'm like, oh, it's not been that long. I thought it was a fucking timer that they'd had on since the start of the podcast. And I'm like,
10 minutes in.
Not today, I've learned now. But there was a couple of times where it was like, when we do the latest slot, it's like 16:40. And I'm like, plenty of fucking time. And he's like, you've been talking for an hour.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you very much, Jamie. Where can people find you if they want to find you?
Just elevate. Probably the best place is DM. Like we have this website, but it's just application only, really. So it's just like DM, like Joss, Lewis, Owen. So search Joss Mooney, Lewis Harrison, Owen Harrison on mine.
Can we get those profiles up?
Yeah, then mine's
I'm sure they'll be up near the top.
Yeah, and then mine's like Jamie Harrison. So any one of them, just drop us a DM if you need it.
Yep.
But
cool.
yeah,
I think are we pulling those up? Pull one up. Just. Oh, you can edit it in. You can edit it in. The magic of post-production.
That's
so yeah, we'll show you some of those so you can find them. And hope to see you next time.
Yeah, man.